Well, as we talked about fuel prices with Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy, you've got Georgia lawmakers uniting to approve another extension, this time 2 weeks, for that fuel tax moratorium in an early Saturday session vote of 161 to nothing. Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia called for a state of emergency back in May as gas prices hovered over $4 a gallon due to the conflict in Iran. But there is other action to talk about from over the weekend in Georgia. Georgia House Democrats defeated legislation that would have allowed Georgia cities and counties to use a penny sales tax for property tax relief. Now, property taxes increased by more than 50% in some Georgia counties. And that's according to Bon Air Republican State Representative Shaw Blockman. Now, the Center Square Associate Editor Kim Jarrett reports Senate Bill 33 requires the General Assembly to approve local legislation before cities and counties can ask you, the voters, to approve a penny tax on the November ballot. Now, the final vote on that move would impact more than 80 local referendums presented on the House Saturday morning was 95 to 67. Blackman, he named 3 counties in which the penny tax would bring in millions to offset property taxes. In Floyd County, they would bring in $20 million annually. Forsyth, $60 million to $70 million. And in Gwinnett, $250 million. He called out the opposing party for their votes.
Republicans have continued to offer opportunities at relief, and sadly, Democrats have now twice blocked and denied their own voters across this state a chance at meaningful tax relief. We still have a chance to get this right.
Now, Atlanta Democrat State Representative Tanya Miller, she said that this has been a bait and switch.
The no vote today is the vote for no new taxes, no taxes on diapers, no taxes on baby formula, no taxes on household goods, no taxes on the things that working families rely on and need to survive in their daily lives, no taxes on school supplies, no taxes on school clothes. We are down here fighting for the affordability of life for the people in Georgia, and we will not, under the pressure of this special session, allow Republicans to come down here with a bait and switch, with a new sales tax for you.
Now, the issue is nonpartisan, according to Republican Georgia State Representative Chase Cannon out of Moultrie.
If anything, this is a great opportunity for us as a body to have a major bipartisan agreement. And I think it'd be great for all of us to take credit for solving an issue that impacts so many Georgians in this state. We've heard from people all over the state telling us in one form or another that property tax is one of their very top concerns, if not their very number one concern. We've heard from people who have paid taxes for years and years on their homes, and now they're in fear of losing them. Why? Because they can't afford another year of property tax to pay on a house they've lived in for decades that's generating absolutely zero revenue.
Now, the House is set to consider those bills again today as they continue with their special session. Meanwhile, in the other chamber Saturday, in the Georgia Senate, Jarrett reports Democrats echoed their House counterparts, opposing bills that would address the state's voting system and local sales taxes for property tax relief. Now, the measure, as presented to the full body, included a new amendment requiring hand recounts of the top 2 races in an election. Democrats had already opposed the bill in committee, saying it did not guarantee that their party would have a seat on a commission that would create the new voting system. They also rejected the amendment. Senate Minority Leader Kim Jackson said the amendment would burden the state's 159 counties, and she used Fulton County, the state's largest county, in this year's general election as examples.
If this amendment were to pass, Fulton County will have to hire a ton of people to come in and hand count every ballot for both the Senate, U.S. Senate race and the gubernatorial race. And it's not just Fulton County. You all always talk about Fulton County. We're always waiting on Fulton County to get their stuff together. Well, now you are ensuring that Fulton County cannot certify their election results for days a party that talks about being a conservative party is adding an incredible amount of expense on top of every single county by requiring them to have to hand count these ballots.
Jackson continued her criticism later in her debates, calling the process a, quote, sham and a waste of taxpayer dollars.
And this is only going to be continued to be a further sham by wasting taxpayer dollars, by passing something that we know is unconstitutional because it exists outside of the governor's proclamation. And then you're going to force us to have to make decisions about a process that we never were included in the first place.
Now, the bill creates a 9-member committee to recommend a new voting system. It also extends the deadline for Senate Bill 189 from July 1st to January 1st of 2028. Now, the General Assembly passed the bill in 2024 but did not fund or create an alternative method for counting ballots. The bills also expand the number of races for post-election audits. The governor's call for a special session says that it is to address issues created by the July 1st, 2026 effective date for the changes that were found in Senate Bill 189. Now, senators in Georgia passed the bill 33-19 along party lines. It goes to the House Governmental Affairs Committee, which will hear it today. A full House vote could happen as early as this afternoon if the committee advances it. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats also voted against local legislation that would allow more than 80 cities and counties to ask their voters to approve a penny sales tax, as we discussed earlier. In the House, Augusta Democrat Harold Jones II in the Senate, he said the sales tax proposal shows that Democrats and Republicans have two different visions of Georgia.
So there are two different visions of the state. One is one that wants to help everybody, and one is one that wants to help small elites. And the vision of the state that wants to help everybody is the one that actually won out in the primary. And that's the one that the vision that's going to continue to win out and will win out come November. So there are two different visions. One actually wants to increase those sales taxes, and people go to the grocery store, and it does add up quite a bit. And one that actually says we're going to help people. We're actually going to provide things for them, as we should, and not just provide for those who have. We want to make sure that everybody participates in our economy.
The bills needed a 2/3 vote of the Senate to pass and failed twice. First in a consent calendar votes that includes all the bills, and then in attempts to pass them individually. The chamber considered 3 of the individual bills before adjourning after all 3 failed. Now, the bills were also rejected by House Democrats, as we talked earlier, and the House convening today. And be sure to get the latest what's going on in Georgia with that special session by getting the newsletter free from thecentersquare.com.